Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. This, I guess, is a little bit of a catch-up bit. It's a movie I watched a few weeks ago. I enjoyed it. It's not perfect, but I had a pretty good time, and man, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she doesn't miss. Like, she does not miss. No matter if you like a movie or dislike a movie, if Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in it, it is A, worth a watch, and B, there's no way you walk away from that movie not going, damn, she is awesome. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat, we're getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into Netflix's Kate. And I tell you, this movie, I thought it had a lot of potential. The concept of an assassin getting kind of played and ending up getting poisoned, and only having 24 hours to figure out who was behind it, why it happened, and how to get the revenge for poisoning her. You had a lot of potential in that story concept. And unfortunately for me, the movie, I thought, played it kind of safe and went more generic revenge route with that story than maybe diving into some more fascinating things around the character. I think some of the character development and some of the story probably could have been a little bit more solid. Like I said, Umair Aleem, who writes here, he does a decent enough job. Like, there are definitely things in here story-wise that work, specifically Kate's relationship with Ani, who's the little girl that is connected to one of her marks that she kind of ends up looking after. And that stuff probably works the best. Their scenes are really good, and from a non-action standpoint in the movie, that was usually where I was most invested. But a lot of the elements of this movie you can kind of see coming. They're telegraphed a little bit, and it just didn't quite click where it was like, man, that was a super cool, smooth, slam dunk, no doubt about it hit. And like I said, some of those story beats just don't quite hit, and some of the characters who aren't Kate are a little soft. This movie thrives for me mainly because Mary Elizabeth Winstead is phenomenal, because of what her character is going through, and this slow, what we find out, spoilers, is radiation poisoning, how it is slowly decaying her down. One, props to the makeup team, because I thought the makeup around Winstead was really, really good, and you really got a sense that she was slowly dying from the inside out as this radiation poisoning kind of keeps knocking her down, and she's got to figure out ways to get up from it. I thought that stuff was great, and I thought because of that concept, the character has got to go through some stuff, man, and really needs to get to the end of that story before her time runs out. She has to be willing to do whatever it takes physically to figure out the answers to the mystery. And like I said, while the mystery is a little generic, what Winstead gives us from performance is just excellent, man. I mean, from the emotional weight that the character has to deal with, specifically with her relationship with Ani, to just what she is going through as a character in general, even before she gets poisoned, just where she is in her life and where she is with the people around her in this assassin's world. I just thought it provided Winstead really good things to chew on and really just squeeze every last ounce out of what was given to her, which, like I said, isn't always great, but her performance, absolutely stellar, man. She elevates the movie so much because she's who we're riding with the whole time, and she is just so freaking good. And when it comes to the action, I mean, I said this Birds of Prey, I said this with Gemini Man, she can hold her own. And while not all of the action sequences are choreographed brilliantly, there are, more often than not, just brilliant action moments. I mean, there is a haircut that is involved for Kate at one point where she goes from long to short. One of the coolest things I've ever seen as far as trying to give somebody a haircut. And just some of the action sequences. There is one at this club I don't remember what it's called because, like I said, I watched this a few weeks ago. But it's one of these, like, it's got the like kind of paper sliding doors that you'll see in a lot of Asian cinema. It's like got a lot of those vibes, and that entire sequence as she moves her way through that and just is taking dudes out left and right. Wow. Like, it was a wow sequence, and she definitely delivers on the choreography stuff. Like, it is without a doubt Winstead most of the time. Like, for sure has a stunt double. I mean, you never don't have a stunt double. And there are definitely, some things that probably weren't her, but for the most part, she's front and center. Her face is on camera, and she just knocks the choreography out wonderfully. Like, I'm telling you, I said this back at Birds of Prey. Put Mary Elizabeth Winstead in all the action. Like, I wish that she was in John Wick 4. And if there is more than just 4, like if we have a 5 or a 6, involve her, man. Like, the way Halle Berry popped in 3, that could be Mary Elizabeth Winstead, because she's got the chops to do the physical stuff and the physicality of the character and just the choreography sequences. Like I said, that scene at that club was phenomenal, and the finale sequence, like as you're leading in toward the end of the movie, like there's, I guess as you're leading into the finale, there was a sequence in a kitchen. Oh, man, like if you thought the club sequence was good, wait till you see that kitchen sequence. And the action, for the most part, like I said, hits across the board. There are a couple wonky elements, specifically, like there's a car sequence that's pretty dope. And from what I understand, director Cedric Nicholas Troyan, that's his bread and butter. Like he's done some, I think, chase sequences, and it visually looks cool, and it visually fits the style of all of the promotional materials, like with the neon lights and stuff. But that visual doesn't quite mesh with the rest of the movie. Like, the rest of the movie doesn't lean into that kind of high-octane, bright, fast-paced element, And there is this car chase scene that visually looks good, but just was kind of jarring a little bit because it didn't quite mesh with everything else that was going on in the movie. And there are a couple moments where Nicholas Troyan has kind of stumbles, like I said, as you kind of, there's a couple elements, like I said, that don't quite hit probably as well as they should, even though they can be cool. It's, you need to be able to find that balance of like cool visuals and cool things and make sure it all meshes. And there's a couple moments in there where, Nicholas Troyan I don't think is meshing correctly. But outside of that one or two spots, the action is pretty flawless throughout the whole thing. As far as the rest of the cast goes, Miku Patricia Martineau, who plays Ani, I really enjoyed her, probably the second most in the movie, next to Winstead, because their relationship I thought was very interesting, and just the performance and the chemistry between the two of them is really, really strong, and where it takes those two as characters, I really enjoyed. Woody Harrelson is in here as Varric. He's kind of like her mentor, like the person she'll get her gigs from. I always loved Woody. I don't think the character was that good. Woody brings it like he always does, but there just wasn't a lot there for him to really chew on, and some of the more generic telegraphed story beats and things you can see coming are mixed in with that character, and with limited screen time, it just didn't give Woody a chance to do very much. And it's one of those things where I think story-wise, if you would have dived more into like his and Kate's relationship while she's going through all of this, I think you could have hit some of the story elements behind that character a lot better and cleaner than we did. But like I said, Woody's always going to bring it. And everybody else who pops up, is sometimes just hey, you're popping up because you're going to get killed. You're slightly tied to some of the overall things that are happening on the side of the Yakuza that, Kate is chasing down. But Jun Kunimura, who plays Kojima, who is like the main target that she's been after. Like the start of the movie, the person she's after when all of this starts going down is that guy. And they get a scene together that is exceptional. And Kunimura just crushes it. Like, I really enjoyed it. And there's not a ton for him, but like that's one of those scenes that 100% stood out for me. And seeing him and Winstead play off each other for that sequence and where it played in the movie, I thought it really worked. So at the end of the day, you have kind of a generic action movie in the sense that like the story is not a lot of depth to it, and I definitely thought you could have done cooler things with it and more interesting things, but it at least gives Mary Elizabeth Winstead enough to chew on that she's able to deliver really good performance stuff start to finish. I mean, she carries this entire movie on her shoulders, and the reason that I would go back and watch it again, or the reason that I enjoyed watching it the first time I watched it, is because of that performance. And you know, it's the action. There are a couple really, really well staged action sequences in this, and I think it makes it totally worth it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong in life with having a generic action movie. Like, yeah, do you want more from it? Sure, but can you flip your brain switch off and just sit back and enjoy? Yes, and I think the movie is 100% worth watching for Winstead and for the action, because for the most part, like I said, the action is pretty solid throughout the whole thing. So let's give this bad boy a score, why don't we? Hey, there, the C-Maniacs, get a nom up. Like I said, not the strongest story. Character development outside of Kate isn't great. Performances, while they're solid, not a lot of standouts in the performance realm aside from Winstead. But the choreography, the creativity around some of the action sequences, specifically that haircut moment, which takes place during that like club scene, and then it's not a club, but you know, whatever that scene was, and that kitchen sequence. Really creative, really cool stuff that I was like, whoa, I don't know if I've seen that before, and I like the way it was executed. That stuff is really strong, and Winstead just crushes this thing, so it's 100% worth the watch. I'm going to go 3 out of 5 C-Maniacs, though, for it. I thought the movie was just okay, but is 100% worthwhile to watch because of Winstead and the action. And there you go, man. That is the end of this Netflix action review. I tend to dig what Netflix does action-wise. Story-wise, I think Netflix could probably improve a little bit in its action realm, but choreography, execution of the type of action that you're looking for. I mean, like I said, I could see Winstead in a John Wick movie tomorrow, and it would 100% work. She can carry all that, and she can handle that type of choreography. But there you go, man. Those are all the C-Man's thoughts on Kate. Now I want to know what you're thinking. Are you a fan of action? Did you check out Kate when it dropped a few weeks back? Maybe a month back at this point. I don't know. I lose track of time all the time. But if you checked it out, man, what did you think? Did the movie work for you? Was it really more about Mary Elizabeth Winstead and some of the action sequences than the story and everything else that was going on in the movie? What action scenes stood out to you? Anything you got going on, I want to know about it. And if you haven't seen the movie, is the action realm, you know, in your wheelhouse? Is this something you would check out, even if, you know, it's not the greatest thing you've ever seen? Like I said, if you're down for choreography, I think this is a movie worth watching, especially because Mary Elizabeth Winstead crushes it, and she's on screen more often than not compared to everybody else. So you got definitely a good chunk of movie that is worthwhile. So if you're gonna check it out, if you're not gonna check it out, anything you guys got, man, good, bad, indifferent on Kate, goes down below in the comments section. I look forward to talking to you all down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with me anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions, you're a fan of Halloween, you want to be here for my 31 days of Spooktober, little Spooktober countdown that we started last year, and you haven't yet, and you want to show a little love and support for this guy, hey, jump over there, man. You can join C-Maniac Nation simply by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that little bell if you want those alerts, and until next time, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you haven't, you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.